Welcome to the Top Dog Alumni Awards, a proud Fresno State tradition. Since 1953, these prestigious awards have been presented to our most accomplished alumni. Throughout the years, we have celebrated bright minds, ambitious spirits, and bold and creative actions that have made a significant impact in our communities in the Valley and across the nation and the globe. Tonight, we celebrate this year's remarkable alumni and friends as we reflect on their notable contributions. You will hear inspirational stories from a diverse group of individuals, business owners and philanthropists, engineers and educators, entrepreneurs and innovators, all individuals committed to furthering the greater good in our world. I have always enjoyed listening to the stories of our top dogs because they truly showcase the transformative power of a Fresno State degree. To our students who are watching, you too can become a top dog with your Fresno State degree and become a renowned leader and change maker, like this year's top dogs. Truly, their accomplishments inspire us all. To our top dogs, I want to thank you for becoming shining beacons of excellence for our young leaders on the rise. And now, I invite you to enjoy this uninterrupted special presentation. As your interim president, I am truly honored to present the visionary trailblazers for Fresno State's 2021 Top Dog Alumni Awards.
This is 3, 2, 1, action.
My name is Marcello Monticelli. I'm a winemaker.
My name is Rosemary Rockwell Waters, retired professor emerita.
My name is Barry Falk. I am the Division Chief Operating Officer for the American Red Cross.
My name is Elizabeth Shields. I'm a retired professor from California State University, Fresno.
My name's Walt Bentley. I'm a retired entomologist with the University of California, Division of Ag and Natural Resources.
I'm Bob Nelson. I'm the Superintendent of Schools for the Fresno Unified School District.
Hi, I'm Andy Souza, Chief Administrative Officer for Emmanuel Schools.
Debbie Addition Astone, Vice President for Administration and Chief Financial Officer at California State University, Fresno.
Kelly Rodriguez, CEO of Forge Global.
Lisa Caceres Austin. I'm the founder of Angels of Grace Foster Family Agency.
I'm Maria Maldonado. I'm the former Assistant Superintendent for EL Services in Fresno Unified.
I'm Jerry Yang Johnson, Vice President of Community Relations at Wells Fargo.
Frank Johnson Sr., former Superintendent of West Fresno School District.
Juanita Leal, and I am an Associate Technical Fellow at the Boeing Company.
Guided by our vision for an inclusive and equitable future, the Kremen School of Education and Human Development uses innovative models to prepare high-quality teachers, counselors, and administrators. The Kremen School's Top Dog Alumni Award recipient embodies this mission and champions diversity in our community. As Assistant Superintendent, she worked tirelessly to improve the educational experiences of emergent bilingual children in the region and was key in implementing Fresno Unified's Spanish dual immersion program as well as the Hmong Heritage program. I am honored to introduce Maria Maldonado.
So I came to the United States at the age of 13. I'm the second of 7 siblings, 4 sisters and 3 brothers. But coming to the United States as a young girl, a new language, a new schooling system, a whole new life. There weren't a lot of services for kids from other countries and other languages. And so it was a sink or swim situation. I do remember getting my first report card. And I had an A in math. Math was good. But I had a couple of F's and a couple of D's, and that did not feel good. I was not used to that. And so there were a lot of tears. There were, I can think of many times that I would write down what I wanted to say because I couldn't speak the words, but I knew how to write them. I wanted to be a teacher ever since I was in 3rd grade. I knew that was the time to just give it all that I had. Within a couple of years, I was able to pull from those D's and F's and get the grades that I would need to be able to go to college. I earned my teaching credential in 1987 and began teaching at Calwa Elementary School. That's a little school where I just really felt I was at home. But I do remember probably in my 5th or 6th year of teaching, my principal asked me, Maria, so what are you going to do with your life? There's a whole lot more there. There's a whole lot more that you need to be doing. The position of Assistant Superintendent for English Learner Services really encompasses making a lot of decisions about how the education is going to go for students who come to the United States and don't speak English. Both language and the culture are two things that are always together. So when you lose the language, you lose the culture as well. And losing your culture is then losing yourself. So you really don't have a sense of who you are. And I feel very blessed that in my position, I was able to make some significant changes within the district to support not only the learning and the keeping of the language, but for so many of our students, the rescuing of the language. And I think that that my job, not only as an educator, but just as a human being, is to help people see their own assets, their own gifts, their own talents, that sometimes through different circumstances you lose or you never knew you had. So I firmly believe that 9/10 of education is just being there to encourage and to guide and to support.
We believe that talent exists in every household. That's why Fresno State admits, enrolls, and graduates students in larger numbers than ever before. In the Division of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management, compassion for students is top of mind. And this year's Top Dog Alumni Award recipient leads with empathy and compassion. He spent 25 years with the city of Fresno, committed to improving our community. As CEO of the Central California Food Bank, he was able to more than double food distribution to help fight hunger, and was instrumental in establishing their partnership with Fresno State. And now, at Emmanuel Schools, he has the opportunity to invest in over 700 students' lives, including his own grandchildren. I'm honored to introduce Andy Souza.
3 foundational things from Fresno State for me was I met my wife, Marcia, I became a Christian, and I got a solid education that not only set the foundation, but really turned somebody who started college not so well into a lifelong learner. So I started my career with the public accounting firm here in Fresno, got my CPA certificate, so I had the opportunity to go to work at the city. Spent 24 years at City Hall, just under 25 actually, and was lucky enough to finish the last 5 years as city manager. After leaving City Hall, I had the opportunity to go to work at what was then Community Food Bank, now Central California Food Bank. Started there as a CEO in 2010. I have been blessed with the chance to serve in a lot of different ways. And one of the things that is most powerful in that is just the gratitude from those that we serve, and knowing that I've had a chance to make a difference in people's lives. When I left City Hall and went to the food bank, I knew a lot about our community, but I really didn't know our community. And it was a pretty humbling time. And during that time, I came across a quote from Mother Teresa that really was very profound, and that was, to serve the poor, you must first love the poor. And to love the poor, you must first know the poor. And during my 10 years at the food bank, one of the biggest blessings was just knowing the people we served. None of the things that I've been a part of happened by any one individual. It's just people who are willing to step up and care deeply about their community, and we've just had a chance to do some great things. So as a first-generation college student, I knew firsthand how important and how transformative an education can be. And when we were working along the university with the student cupboard, we just could not let any student have to walk away from this opportunity, the generational impact it could have, simply because they couldn't put food on their table. What makes Fresno special and Fresno State is that entire sense of community, knowing that you have a common vision of wanting to see the best in everybody around us. I saw it at the food bank with the, company after company after company that come alongside us, whether it's packing sheds, whether it's farmers, whether it's the growers, and wanting to make a difference. And all we simply had to do was ask, because a tremendous willingness to come alongside us. And so I think it's just that sense of community, that people caring for one another in very tangible ways and very compassionate ways.
From the study of history to current political, social, and cultural issues, the College of Social Sciences prepares students to develop essential knowledge and skills to engage the world with solutions to complex social problems and to instill human values and civic responsibility that improve and enrich the lives of all. The College of Social Sciences Top Dog recipient exemplifies these high standards. Our recipient has spent the past 17 years committed to advocacy and philanthropy in the Central Valley and California. She is currently the Vice President and Community Relations Senior Consultant for Wells Fargo and embodies leadership and empathy in all that she does. I am proud to introduce Jerry Yang Johnson.
So I was born in San Diego, California, but my family, I grew up in a refugee family, a refugee immigrant family from Laos. There was something taught in us early on about just service and serving others. There's a lot of families out there who are going through right now what my family went through, what I went through, and I just feel that that's part of like the determination I have in me. When I got into Fresno State, I actually was going to do communications. And then I decided to take one women's studies class. And when I sat in the women's studies class, it just blew my mind. It taught me about the world around me. It gave me a venue to ask questions, to learn my voice. That's when I decided that I really wanted to be I wanted to get a degree in women's studies, to use my voice for the greater good, for a purpose. And so I went and worked at the Central Valley Community Foundation, and there really helped build the capacity of nonprofits in our community. Then asked to join the team at Wells Fargo, and I've been there for 10 years now, doing work around community investment, community development, and knowing that there were so many services out there that helped me get to where I am today, that's really a motivator in why I do the work that I'm doing today, but really why I'm doing it at a place like Wells Fargo. So the MALA Scholarship was started in partnership with Central California Asian Pacific Women to invest and support in the education and learning of Asian Pacific Islander first generation college students. I feel incredibly privileged to be who I am and who I am now. And the opportunities I've had in my life, I feel very much like there's still so much work to be done. And I have deep purpose in me and drive to make sure that I'm serving my community, that I'm serving this world in a better way.
On behalf of the Fresno State Alumni Association, thank you for joining us tonight to honor this year's Top Dogs. This is an exceptional group of alumni who inspire us and represent the best of Fresno State. A Top Dog Alumni Award says your peers, family, friends, and Fresno State believe that you've gone above and beyond, and that the impact you have made has changed lives for the better. It is an award that says you represent the best this university and our community has to offer. To date, more than 358 alumni and friends of Fresno State have been recognized for their contributions to our alma mater, our community, our state, our nation, and our world. Congratulations to this year's Top Dog alumni honorees. You make all Fresno State alumni and friends proud to be Bulldogs for life.
Thank you to our Top Dog presenting sponsors, Catalyst, Forge Global, and Harris Construction.
As the largest academic library between Los Angeles and San Francisco, the Henry Madden Library houses some of the most significant collections in the California State University system. We serve to advance and extend knowledge, learning, and culture throughout California, and this year's Top Dog alumni recipient for the Henry Madden Library embodies just that. He spent over 16 years in education and was the first African American school district superintendent in the Central Valley. He also founded The Grapevine, a magazine highlighting the accomplishments of African Americans in the community. He is a true inspiration and role model for others. Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Johnson Sr.
I was about 5 years old, and we lived in Arkansas, and my parents decided to move out to California. They emphasized education to all of us. They knew we can get better jobs. They didn't want us to pick cotton and cut grapes and all that all our lives. I was working during the time I was at Fresno State. I enjoyed the fraternity. Some of the community things that they were doing I liked. You know, we're helping people. We raise money to help people in the community. One reason I started the magazine, I noticed in the newspapers, they didn't run many positive articles on black people. And I say, well, look, I'm going to start a positive magazine about people in Central California. So I was the publisher and editor of the magazine. I published each one of those. While I was teaching, I worked mainly on weekends, focused on the positive. I had quite a few volunteer people who was helping out with the magazine. I had about 20 writers who wrote on different topics, and we enjoyed doing it. It was a labor of love because I didn't get paid, and my brothers didn't get paid. We were trying to do something for the community. My older brother was a teacher, and another one of my brothers was a teacher. I started off in West Fresno. It was called Fresno Colony back then. We changed the name to West Fresno School District. And I knew a lot of the families because I lived in West Fresno. I loved the teaching. They asked me, did I want to be a vice principal? And I said, yes, I'll do that job. And they recruited me at the district there. And I liked the small district we were in. And I was principal for a while and vice principal and ended up superintendent. So we accomplished a lot. And we had some good teachers out there and other counselors and so forth. We brought that school district up to one of the better small school districts in the state of California. And we were recognized for that. Yeah, well, I was kind of proud of what we did out of the school district, West Fresno School District. And I enjoyed teaching. And I lived a good life, giving back to the community.
Through the Division of Research and Graduate Studies, Fresno State educates and graduates leaders who serve the community in increasingly critical areas. With the education, knowledge, and experience to grow into leadership roles, many of our graduates remain right here in the Valley. Our 2021 Top Dog recipient is an example of this, a true leader committed to the well-being and success of our local youth. For him, his role isn't just a career, it's a calling. I am honored to present Bob Nelson.
Well, I can say unequivocally, no child has ever said publicly, I'm going to be a superintendent. That has never happened in the history of the American experience. So when I got out of school, I had finished my bachelor's degree, but I only had a preliminary teaching credential. And Fresno State is the place to train teachers, actually across the state of California. And so I'm ecstatic to say that I was able to finish my full teaching credential, my master's degree, and my preliminary administrative credential all in the same 40 to 50 units at Fresno State. I have a lot of kids. I mean, many people know I have 7 children. 3 of ours were born to us. We were blessed to have them. And then we started bringing in foster youth from Fresno Madera County. And we had 8 different foster youth come through our house at one time or another. 4 of them went back to their own homes and to their own families. And then the last 4 we were blessed to be able to adopt. So I actually arrived in the Valley in 1991, and I started as a substitute teacher for the Fresno Unified School District. I'm super proud of the fact that I'm the first superintendent to serve as a product of Fresno Unified in the last 3 decades. And so I started teaching and then left the district and was a superintendent in a little district called Chewanaque, which is in eastern Madera County. Came back to serve as the previous superintendent's chief of staff, and I've been serving as a superintendent now for 4 years and 3 weeks. If you're going to be here, you got to be all in, because serving in the Valley implies that you're going to be all in all the time. The one thing the Valley needs probably more than anything else is a stable group of people who want to serve kids in the Valley. The need here is high, and also in direct connection with that, the reward here is high. I think being willing to put yourself out there, kids want to have fun, they want to be able to laugh, giving them regular opportunities to laugh and have joy in wholesome, meaningful ways, I think is really key. Seeing your leaders not be afraid to be vulnerable publicly, I think is really important. And I've tried to bridge the distance around that to just build humanity back into the equation, right? To help people understand that this is who I am as a person. It's worth it being authentic for people. And you win people over, and you're more likely to build trust in the community if you are your authentic self with them as often as you can be. I'm thankful to be in my 5th year and have the opportunity to serve. It's an incredible blessing to be able to serve the people where I taught and was an administrator and, cut my teeth, to be able to work with Fresno State in different ways and have regular communication between our entity and the college, who's so seminal. Education is the ticket to help kids be successful and to change generational poverty in the Valley.
The Craig School of Business leads in the transformative educational preparation of tomorrow's business leaders, taking innovation to a new level. This forward-thinking approach is reflected in this year's Craig School of Business Top Dog recipient. For nearly 33 years, she has been a transformative leader at Fresno State and has led numerous campus projects that advance not only the university, but the community. It is my honor to introduce Deborah Adishian Astone.
So higher education was always very important in our family, and something that our parents inspired in each of us. My mother was the first in her family to attend higher education, and she wasn't so concerned about what we were going to do, but that we had that education that was the basis for anything that we wanted to do. And I knew that this was something that I wanted to do and that I wanted to go to Fresno State. So I had the opportunity when I was a freshman to begin working on campus as a student assistant. When I started at Fresno State in fall of '83 and walked on campus, the campus really did not go further than the Joyal Administration Building to the east. And because I started working in the facilities planning office, I had the opportunity to know kind of what was being planned and what was ahead. Graduation 1988 had a lot of different opportunities. And I was approached by my current boss at that time and said, we think we're going to be able to get funding for an analyst position. Would you be interested in applying? And I said, you know what? I think that's a great opportunity. This is where I want to be. Fresno State is a special place. It feels right. I know I want to continue to get my graduate degree, and this is where I want to be right now. Fresno State, I think in the CSU system, has a reputation of being innovative, entrepreneurial, and a trailblazer. The part that was always so rewarding was at the end of the job, watching the students or faculty or staff walk into a brand new facility. The appreciation from the facility maybe they moved out of and were moving into, and knowing that maybe in some small way that we're helping to improve the experience. So while I've been on campus for close to 33 years and seen a lot of change and growth, going forward, you continue to know that Fresno State is going to continue to make a difference here in our valley, a difference in the lives of our students and their families. And we just need to continue to look to see what's next. We have a great history. We have an amazing history. And it's our job still today to ensure that we're paying that forward.
Fresno State has a proud history of educating our military veterans, including many past top dogs. The Veterans Education Program is a unique educational re-entry opportunity for us. After serving in the Army for 7 years, the Veterans Education Program has provided me with a fresh start and a pathway to obtain my college degree. From all of us at the Veterans Education Program, tonight we congratulate you.
Thank you to our Top Dog visionary sponsors: Fresno State's Office of the President, Fresno State's Continuing and Global Education, Ernest and Julio Gallo Winery, and Wells Fargo.
Through hands-on experiences and innovative teaching methods, the College of Health and Human Services takes a whole-person approach to the practice of healthcare, transforming the quality of life for those in our community. There is no better person who best represents our college than this year's College of Health and Human Services Top Dog Alumni Awards recipient. She utilized her personal struggles to passionately care for foster youth in our community and founded the Angels of Grace Family Foster Agency, which has rescued thousands of children. I am honored to introduce Lisa Caceres Austin.
Well, at 18 years old, that was kind of my, all my friends were going to college, but I was getting ready to get married. Unfortunately, this happily ever after fairy tale turned into a nightmare, and I ended up in a very abusive relationship, lots of domestic violence. And one day when things got really, really bad, I ran out of my house with no shoes on, and I had a house coat on, and my oldest son took my daughter and he put her in our car, and then he grabbed my purse and we ran for our lives. And I called the number to the Marjorie Mason Center, and they actually came and picked me up, took me to a place of refuge, and they helped me to realize that it was going to be okay, that this was a little bump in the road, and I would get to the other side, and it empowered me. And then I got really passionate about helping students that were in abuse, so I started doing restraining orders, and I just became kind of like a paralegal. And one of my counselors at City College, she just thought it was so amazing that I was so passionate about helping not just women, but even men that were in these types of situations. And she says, you know, you need to become a social worker. And I said, really? And her name was Pauline Fuller. And I said, well, how long will that take? And she said, oh, not that long. You'll have to go to Fresno State, but it won't take that long. And so 15 years later, I received my master's in social work. So we're very blessed at Angels of Grace because the work that we do is based on, I received my master's in social work, but it was also under the Title IV-E program, which is a very comprehensive program, which is very inclusive and diversity and just cultural competency, all the things that I really believe we need for our kids to feel like they're being cared for. Every time I go and rescue a child, it's coming out of that dark place. You know, I take them and I look at them and I love on them and I tell them how beautiful they are and how important they are and that they have a purpose. And I put these little ring pops on their hands and they walk around and they tell them that they're royalty. And I think that as humans, when we take the time to just do our job and do it well and do it with a heart of helping and love, we can ignite people's soul. And so our job is to keep the family complete, whole, and then get them to the other side without judging, but with love.
Fresno State Athletics is committed to providing a comprehensive program to ensure our student athletes are successful athletically, academically, and in their future endeavors. From being an NCAA conference champion to a CEO in Silicon Valley, this year's Athletics Top Dog Alumni Awards recipient displays the strong work ethic, commitment, and discipline instilled in Fresno State athletes. He has led several successful businesses and is currently the CEO of Forge Global, a leading financial technology company with over $10 billion in transaction volume. It is an honor to introduce Kelly Rodriguez.
I participated in basketball, track, and football. The sport that I really fell in love with, though, was track, particularly when we moved to Oregon for a year. It was sort of the track center of the universe. That's where I first learned how to pole vault. So I graduated high school from up in the mountains at Sierra High School. And at the end of my junior season, I was approached by USC about going down south after my senior season. I ended up having a disastrous state championship meet. And I couldn't afford to go to USC. And the coach there decided to give what I thought was going to be my scholarship to somebody else. I had known that Coach Bob Fraley was coming to Fresno State, and he was one of the best pole vaulting coaches in high school. And so I reached out and asked if it was possible for me to come here. And that circumstance, that defeat and disappointment was what led me here and actually was one of the greatest things that happened to me in my life. In about 2 years, I went from being what would be considered an average Division I athlete to being in the top 10 in the NCAA. And that became, for me, a formula that I use still today in my professional career. It's about meticulous planning, having a goal, and just working really super hard against that goal. And I learned that here at Fresno State. I learned it from Bob Fraley. But I had this entrepreneurial bug, and that really was what led me to think about maybe my career would be better served starting businesses. I traveled to San Jose and got my first job as a salesman, a tech salesman. And it was a dream come true. So in the parlance of Silicon Valley, I'm considered a 4-exit CEO, which means I've started 4 companies or been brought in to run companies that have all either gone public or been acquired by a public company. The biggest lesson I learned was that in order to succeed, you had to inspire other people. You had to convince other people that your dream could be realized. I look at my experience as a track athlete, and essentially the difference between getting an education and not, and going on and creating success for your family and your community. And I think about how many kids get an opportunity to be on a track team or on a wrestling team, and they don't have any aspiration of being a professional sports athlete, and they're not competing in a football program or a basketball program. And I just think that it's got the power to create other people that get a similar opportunity that I got. And so if I can help create more experiences like the one I had, I'll do that. I'll make that a commitment beyond my life as a CEO.
The College of Science and Mathematics provides the research experiences and interdisciplinary training to empower the next generation of STEM leaders. Our Top Dog Alumni Awards recipient has demonstrated remarkable leadership and service in her profession in numerous and varied ways. An outstanding teacher dedicated to her community, she has transformed thousands of lives. It is difficult to overestimate the positive impact she and her husband have had on the community. I am honored to introduce Rosemary Waters.
My parents were very much favorable of education. My father was a children's dentist. My mother didn't have the opportunity to go to college, but she managed his dental practice. And if I had said I wasn't going to college, I think I would have been thrown out of the house. I thought I wanted to be a college professor from the time I got deeply into these science classes. After my sophomore year of college, I had not only met my husband, but we dated, got engaged. So this is 1964. At that time, I was 19 years old, and we got married. At the time that I was beginning to teach straight microbiology at Fresno City, there were no written documents that suited our needs. And so with 2 former students who were very diligent, together the 3 of us wrote a lab manual. It ultimately was picked up by McGraw-Hill, and the contract we signed, we stipulated the percentage of royalty money we wanted it to generate, and established a scholarship or SHIPS for reentry students who were going to go into healthcare. Because I had developed empathy for these situations, for these students who were working so hard. Many of them had children at home. They were working night jobs. Instructors need to be tough but fair, but also be kind, be compassionate. Giving back to the community, my husband and I have been given so much. It has been a hard year. And there are people who need help, and there's always people who need help. We're just grateful to be able to do this. It's the pay it forward mentality.
The heart of human interaction is cultivated and expressed in the College of Arts and Humanities. We believe communication and expression is the language of a healthy community. And this year's College of Arts and Humanities Top Dog Alumni Award recipient embodies the mission and values of our college. He attributes his success to the critical thinking skills he developed as an undergraduate student in the Department of Communication. And he has led several organizations in the Central Valley with empathy for others. I am proud to introduce Barry Falk.
I feel very, very fortunate that I really was raised with values from a very young time of my life to be able to be cognizant of giving back to the community and giving back to others. My parents were heavily involved with United Cerebral Palsy, and I remember spending every year a little bit of time at the telethon. I kind of go over to ABC 30, and I think at that point I was probably 12 or 13 years old here at the telethon. Just was really proud and grateful, I think, more than anything else, to my family, my parents, that was something that was just instilled on at such an early age that really stuck. So, Fresno State was a choice predominantly because I was working in ministry at the time, but I think that what I was able to achieve by choosing Fresno State ultimately was to just really have a perspective that really formed so much of my thinking in the way that I approach decision making today. I started really in ministry right out of college and pursued a master's degree in theology. And during that time, I got the chance to work at a church, and I think it was really came a season where I knew that I wanted to continue to do good, but I wanted to maybe think about it in a broader sense. And so that's really when I left church ministry and started my role as the executive director for Rotary Storyland Playland. Was able to spend about 7 seasons at Rotary Storyland Playland, certainly one of the most beloved and cherished organizations in our community, and has been around since the 50s. And just was a real privilege to have the opportunity to lead that organization and represent our community in such an impactful way. Got the chance to spend 7 seasons, as I said, at Storyland Playland, and then transitioned to United Cerebral Palsy. The chance to work for that organization that serves people with disabilities was something I didn't feel like I could pass up, nor did I want to. And then in 2015, I had the opportunity to reposition again and work for the American Red Cross. And certainly the work that we do when it comes to whether there's a disaster or whether we're in what we would call blue skies, that people have what they need to be prepared, I think is just really meaningful, and have been able to be there ever since. It is so important to me to really have my life be representative of a life that hopefully serves others and hopefully leaves our communities or wherever I'm at better than where I started. Martin Luther King's quote around just the life's most important and persistent urgent question being, what are we doing for others? I think it's something that has shaped me profoundly. And, I think that each and every one of us wake up every day with the opportunity to either say, am I going to live today for me, or I'm going to live my life today to serve others in the roles that I've had the opportunity to be in. I can say definitively that I have felt like that we have been able to make a difference, that we've been able to leave things better than where we left them, and hopefully that has also had an impact on the community as well.
As Central California's premier comprehensive engineering college, the Lyles College of Engineering empowers multicultural students to become innovators, designers, builders, and leaders prepared to foster ideas and develop solutions for the advancement of society. I'm proud to introduce this year's Lyles College of Engineering Top Dog Alumni Awards recipient, whose achievements are truly remarkable. She's a female, first-generation Latina engineer who has worked at the Boeing Company for over 23 years. Throughout her career, she has had a wide sphere of influence and has made significant contributions at Boeing and as a U.S. government civilian. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Juanita Leal.
I remember I was in preschool, and I remember watching the moon landing on TV, and I knew right then that I wanted to be an astronaut. I used to lay out on the grass with my dog and tell him how I was going to be a pilot. About 2 years into Fresno State, I was given an opportunity to go work as a cooperative education student engineer at NASA Armstrong. So Fresno State provided me the formal education that I needed behind, and it was the theory behind what I was learning in the real world. If few months into my job at the Boeing Company, I was invited to a space shuttle launch. To make it Boeing related, I got to do some training, and this is the first time that I got to go out to the launch pad and to see the space shuttle. Yeah, almost 24 years of Boeing. I have worked at 18 different Boeing sites on 14 different projects and products. I have to say I've been very, very blessed to have had such a variety of projects and to work with such an amazing set of people and teammates that I've had. So in 2008, I created a scholarship at Sanger High School to honor my parents, Seferino and Juanita Leal, to honor them as a lasting legacy for the values that they taught my family. And those values being faith in God, integrity, perseverance, and determination despite adversity. The scholarship that we give it to are children of other farm worker families to help them get past whatever challenges they're facing and to keep looking forward so that they can also find success. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of the things that I've gotten to work on. I don't know, when I look back at my career, I'm just amazed at the things that I have gotten to touch. This is very humbling to be able to represent the Fresno State engineering program in this manner, and to be able to represent the Fresno State community in this manner.
It's all around us, the raw materials of agriculture: soil, water, plants, animals, nature. In the Jordan College of Agricultural Sciences and Technology, we foster and advance our understanding and use of these raw materials through applied research and hands-on learning to improve our communities. I'm proud to introduce our Top Dog Alumni Awards recipient, who turned an unfortunate family farm experience into an opportunity for positive change and innovation. He's a widely renowned entomologist whose research and discoveries have had a profound impact both locally and internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, Walter Bentley.
When I was a junior in high school, my dad and uncle decided to try planting tomatoes. And instead of seeding the tomatoes, it was a year when we decided we would try transplanting. The transplanting happened to be infested with an insect called tomato pinworm. It infested not only the plants, but the fruit. We're not able to harvest anything from the crop because of that one insect. That incident really did stick with me, and I decided, this is something that maybe needs to be investigated a little more. I will say after I graduated from Colorado State, I got a job with Colorado Department of Food and Agriculture in Grand Junction, and believe it or not, they grow peaches there. And my job was to develop an approach to controlling oriental fruit moth that would not kill a parasite that they raised. Those insecticides were often used for other pests, not OFM. And so that's where I actually began. The key here, by utilizing these other techniques, is the safety to the food that we eat, the safety to the people that work in that orchard to harvest it, and the safety to the general population around here. These sorts of programs really, I'm pretty passionate about this, allow us to grow these crops without those issues that we face with some of the other materials. There are hundreds of people out there doing this job. I was able to do it in an area where I'd had a lot of impact, and so I feel very good about that. There can be a whole life on a leaf, a whole life, 3 trophic levels on a leaf, and they're the types of things that we walk by every day. I try to get students, no matter what level they're in, from grade school to high school or college, to look into what nature has given us, to be aware of what is around you. Become curious about what's here and ask yourself, why is this happening?
The Arthur Safstrom Service Award is given to an individual or couple who have given exceptional service to the Fresno State Alumni Association and the university. This year's recipients are John and Liz Shields. They're both former Fresno State faculty, and John, a professor emeriti. Combined, the couple has educated Fresno State students for over 60 years. Liz and John were longtime donors and volunteers for numerous programs at Fresno State, and in 2016 established the Shields Family Study Abroad Grant, providing scholarships to students who would otherwise be unable to study in a foreign country. Since John's passing in 2018, Liz has continued the work she and John dedicated their lives to in the community and with students. And tonight, we recognize and honor the legacy of John Shields. And I'm proud to introduce Liz Shields.
While I was growing up, and I would keep looking at all these photographs in encyclopedias and so forth, looking at the Taj Mahal, looking at the Sphinx and saying, someday I'm going to be able to go and see those. And so that's why I volunteered to go to Botswana and was able to teach there in the secondary school. We had a couple of Peace Corps volunteers teaching at the same secondary school, including someone called John Shields. About 9 months after we met, my birthday was coming up, so he made a birthday cake for me from scratch. And after dinner, he asked me to marry him, which was quite a surprise, a pleasant surprise. But I guess I was rather coy, and I said, well, give me 10 days to think about this. I'm not sure it actually was 10 days in the end, but that's the way I remember it. John was one of the most honest people that I know. He was very loyal to his friends. He took his job very seriously. He believed that his students deserved the best that he could do because of his great love and interest in international affairs. Quite a few of his students have worked abroad. So again, when we look at these students and how far they've gone, it really gives us a great feeling of satisfaction and pride. I was involved with the Osher program here. I was on the board for a short time and was coming in and out of the continuing and global education department. We did the scholarships on an annual basis. Then I've decided that it would be better if we made it a more permanent donation. Our one request is that they go to a country which is non-English speaking, so that there's a little bit of discomfort. It's not a comfortable environment to go to initially. We found that our travels educated us as well as to the cultures and the people around the world. We felt that it was important for students to have an opportunity to go overseas, to spread their wings a little bit. Not all those who wander are lost. And I think it reflects for us not just our travels around the world, but it's also part of our academic journey as well. Because if you look back over both John and my academic journey, you find we start in very different places from where we ended up. So the wanderings around those different disciplines helped us enormously in our teaching because it gave us perspectives on a lot of different areas that we could bring into our teaching and help students and guide students. You know, the great thing about teaching at a regional university like Fresno State is the fact that many of the students stay around in the community after they graduate. And they made us very proud to see how some of them are contributing to the community.
There's one special individual who, through his incredible accomplishments, is the recipient of the Distinguished Alumni Award. To be considered for this award, individuals must have distinguished themselves in their industry at a national or international level. Our Distinguished Alumni Award recipient is an award-winning winemaker, innovator, and wine industry icon. He graduated from Fresno State with high honors, magna cum laude, in 1969 with a degree in enology. He is thankful for the freedom he had to make wine and experiment in our vineyard. He especially remembers the professors taking time to explain and answer his questions. After graduation, he worked at several wineries until he began his career at E&J Gallo Winery, where he spent 50 years innovating and perfecting his legendary winemaking. Throughout his career, he traveled the world to research, innovate, and discover new technologies and varieties that would influence the entire industry. Indeed, his direction, skill, and creativity paved the way to the creation of an award-winning portfolio of wines from Sonoma County. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce the 2021 Distinguished Alumni Award recipient, Marcello Monticelli.
My family experienced the American dream twice. My grandfather came here in 1910, worked hard. You know, my grandparents and my uncle came over. There was 7 of us living in a small house. We lived in an Italian community. At that point, they had a vineyard. So, you know, we worked in the vineyards. Basically, you know, we had a huge garden. I still remember that. We had chickens and we canned tomatoes. It was tough times, but there were also some of the best memories I have now of life. I got to college and I loved it. Well, when I found out there was a major enology, you know, winemaking, I was blown away. It let me create. You could try this thing, you could try that thing, and you learn. You learn by experiencing things, you know, just, and my dad used to say, para l'arte e metodo aparte. You know, as you do things, learn them, set it aside. And then later on in life, those things come up and, you know, and you can use them again. You know, I think I got one of the best educations I could, and the foundation was great, and you know, it was there for the taking, as far as I'm concerned. Graduated Fresno State, and I thought I was gonna be on the farm. I was there a few days, and I got a call from Gallo, and I never thought I would want the job or get the job. I get there, and yeah, I couldn't believe it. Julia would come every day to the tastings. So after, you know, a day or so there, I was in the tasting room, and he goes, come over to the house. You know, asked about my home life and everything else. Really, I mean, you could tell he was really interested in, you know, and he was like that in the winery. You know, later on, you know, when I'd be there at nights working, and shoot, that's Julia walking around. And I remember Julia saying, you always got to strive to make that perfect bottle of wine, but you never will.
Marcello Monticelli, to our family winery, to me personally, unbelievable. 50 years. I can't even sum him up. His passion, his tenacity, his loyalty, his compassion, and his attention to detail. He is always searching for the next best way to do something and realizes that it is in the smaller things that make the bigger differences. He has created who we are today, and we are making the top-end wines of the world, world-class wines, because of Marcello. His innovation is bar none. I've never met anyone else that comes to his level. He's also the type of person that will get out of his element. Maybe it's tomatoes, maybe it's blueberries, for different ways that we were picking. When I see what I've learned from him and what he's given the wine world, the wine industry is phenomenal.
I've enjoyed my job or my profession so much. I feel like I've never worked a day in my life, okay? To me, it's, you know, what I've learned here, what I've learned from my parents. I mean, the values they taught me. I found the woman of my dreams, and she said yes, and we have 3 kids. I have 6 grandchildren. Yeah, I couldn't ask for anything better, really. Life's good. La vita è bella.
These top dogs and you, our greater alumni community, are a testament to the value of higher education and inspire us all to graduate and lead. You are an example of what we can achieve with a college degree, and I am excited for what lies ahead. Go Dogs!
Being recognized as a top dog is not anything that I ever even thought about. This is completely humbling. I don't know that I deserve it. I appreciate it, but it definitely just makes me feel that I have so much more to give.
If you want to do something, lean forward in the areas where you can make the greatest impact and where there is the greatest need. You can really make an impact on the life of a young person if you can kind of capture their heart and teach them content that they want to learn.
I want Fresno State to know that my success started here and that I'm grateful.
Tough times don't last, tough people do. Regardless of the challenges, always persevere. You're gonna make it. Don't let anybody get you down.
You know, it's amazing that even our hurts can have a purpose. And God doesn't waste our hurts.
But really grateful for this recognition and this honor from the College of Arts and Humanities, and it truthfully, I think it is just something that I will always remember and will always feel humbled by.
I am so honored to work with just an amazing team of colleagues who together are making a difference here for our campus and community. And so we need to pay it forward, and I know we will.
Folks who've worked with me know that it's not very often that I'm speechless, but I really was. It's humbling to know that somebody thought enough of the work that I've done and the things that I've done to submit the application and then to be here. So it was quite humbling.
We just like helping. We just like feeling that we're contributing in many ways.
Yeah, well, that's work of love, you know. I didn't consider it that much work. Even though we put in many hours, when you love doing something, it's not work.
Well, I'll tell you, when I got the call, I was shocked because I do know how many deserving people, and not only in support industries or in extension, but I think of the farmers that I work with, all these guys that are such great farmers, and to be honored for working with them, it's pretty special.
We are at a point where we have the privilege of paying back in our community. We're very fortunate at this point in our life to be able to be generous.
Every small act and every gesture can have a huge impact.
Like my dad always expressed, actions are more than words, and what's important is your family, your faith, and your friends. The best investment a person can make is people.